students at this school are going to be, inventing when it's fully underway?
Well, we may each give different answers to that. Because of the way Dean Hunt-Locker and Vice President Dove and others have set up the campus, there's a broad range of activities that are going to occur. I think there may be some things developed, some actual devices developed. I think it's conceivable that there'll be processes developed. And so the art and the science of intellectual property protection is to fit the right shoe on the right foot, so to speak. And one size will not fit all. So for things like devices, objects, almost certainly intellectual property protection will be required. For processes and software, honestly, it's a bit controversial. And as I mentioned before, or tried to mention if I wasn't clear, there are those who believe that certain aspects of process patents, software patents, should not occur, that things should be open source for the greater good as part of the information commons, and then elsewhere along the spectrum there should be intellectual property protection. So again, I think it's really important to say that I view this as a twofold process. One is having the professionals from the U.S. Department of Commerce here to advise nascent investigators on what is the best likely fit. But the second part of it, and I think the more important for the long run for the United States, is to figure out what is the best way to approach a wide variety of problems. And the field is moving so rapidly, as graphically shown by Senator Schumer with his pipe to iPhone example, about which I'm still bitter that I didn't think of. But I'll get to I already have the device as well. That it's very important to understand that the world is broadening, not narrowing, in terms of the variety of processes that will lead to innovation, jobs, and companies. And Secretary Blank and Undersecretary Kapos and I, and Hunt-Locker and Dove, are all devoted to the idea that we don't know all the answers yet. I hope that's fair. And that we will discover as a community the best way to apply or not apply intellectual property protection to certain fields. And I want to emphasize again, this is not going to be just an academic exercise. It's going to be bringing the business community, the investment community, and the government, as well as the research community together to help decide what is the appropriate place for intellectual property protection in the burgeoning tech industry. And you guys may want to add.
Well, yeah, thanks, President Gordon. The one thing I would add is that we'll also be well equipped to advise in areas such as trademark protection, which is a major issue when you're talking about brands. Some of the most famous brands in the world are home right here in New York City. And then don't also forget design protection, which is another thing that's important. You talk about New York City industries that are producing some of the world's most innovative designs. In fact, maybe fair to say the world's most innovative designs. And that's another thing we do at the USPTO, that we will be in a position in real time in your community to be able to pick up and help advise on.
Very important. Time for one more question.
Rick O'Connor, Roosevelt Islander Online. Cornell is committed to building the academic building and the residential building by 2017, and the possibility of the business partner building and the hotel conference center later. Does this mean that the patents office will now be moving into the business partner building?
So let me just make just a slight correction. We're committed to building the first academic building by 2017. Everything else by our agreement with the city will come a little bit later. Of course, as you and I talked about before, it's a pleasure to see you. We're going to try to telescope the process as much as possible and move things along. But my current assumption, and Dan will tell me if this is right, is that this part, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce site, will move from this building to the academic building as soon as it opens. The other buildings we're glad to talk about after the conference if you like, but the one we're committed to building by 2017 is the academic building. And thanks to our colleagues at Google, we have this campus already here right now. And to reiterate, Sue Purvis has already opened this Department of Commerce site. I want to thank everyone for coming and thank our guests for making the trip from Washington.